Hey all, quick one here. As you know, Summer of Pain finished earlier today, and so we got all of our rewards. Um, I did max out the whole thing, and I have been saving for a little bit, so I have a few things to open up here. First, I just want to say, looking back on Summer of Pain as a whole, I was really happy with this event. Some of the fights I thought were a little more interesting than others. The Symbiote Supreme one, I just was not a fan of, honestly. And really, it came down to how much it relied on the Pacify mastery. Because most of the options in most of the objectives, and several of them for the final week, just kind of seem to come down to make sure you have Pacify maxed out, try and stun him as much as possible, and just fight him until you get a good run where the entire node that you've just set up doesn't work. And when the best way to get through a fight is to just do it over and over again until that 30% chance you have to not do the fight kicks in, I feel like that means you've kind of missed. So yeah, not my favorite thing. I will happily redo fights over and over again if they're really hard and I just feel like, you know what? I need to do better and then I'll get the solo. That's what I did, especially for like my Mysterio versus Mysterio mirror solo that I put on this channel and a number of others as well. Like there were some legitimately hard fights in here. But that's the week where I spent revives because to me it feels different to go over and over again when it's not skill, it's luck. I know some people actually prefer that. I've talked to several people who the Symbiote Supreme fight was their favorite over the ones like Mysterio. That's fine, we can have different preferences. But I'm just saying that's how it worked out for me. But overall, I know there were some complaints that some of the fights were a little on the easy side individually for those first 9 weeks. And I think you can definitely make that argument. But doing them with the objectives did take, some combination of skill and roster depth. And I think they were actually in a pretty perfect spot when you consider that they were always intended to be lined up with two of them in a row, followed by the Grandmaster, all with one champion. And a lot of them were in pretty obnoxious combinations for that end, right? Like, to pick somebody who could take down Sinister and handle Adaptoid required a little bit of finagling. Doom was easy, but then you couldn't use Doom elsewhere. And there were a lot of those kinds of conversations, whereas like Apocalypse was good for a lot of the paths, but if you were trying to do it efficiently, if you used him in one spot, you couldn't use him elsewhere. And so there was a lot of planning and forethought that was required in the finale of Summer of Pain, above and beyond having the champions in the first place and having the skill to use them. And I really think that that's a fantastic layout. I've already given my thoughts on the Sim Supreme fight. I think the only other thing to say is that if we had not run into the engine update problem that caused all of the parry and dex bugs, which made the Grandmaster fight especially significantly more difficult, especially with extra large champions with their different hitboxes. If it had not been for that, I think this would have been remembered as one of the best events in the history of this game. I really think it was extremely well done. It just fell at kind of an unfortunate time, and so I know that frustrated a lot of people. I hope most of you out there were still able to find enjoyment in this, and I hope you were able to get the rewards you wanted out of it. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and move into opening my rewards. Now I will say on the selectors, I think I just went all tech because that was the only class of T5CC that I didn't already have a full one of. These Nexus crystals are obviously not from Summer of Pain, but I admit I did spend $60 on that R format card earlier today. And it wasn't because of the R formats so much as because I felt like the signing bonus was solid. 20 more 6-star SIGs and this. So far, got that 6-star Cyclops right off the bat. I was like, you know what? Sure, I'll take Mangog. I kind of want to play around with him. and I'd rather that than just a Nexus, because it's a 5-star either way. From here on out, I'm pretty much just going to be picking, the highest ranked champion. In cases like that, I have Medusa ranked higher, so I'm going to pick her. I think there's one spot where I don't take a max Sig crystal because I knew I needed some Science ISO, but none of these pulls really matter that much. Going back to the T5CC real quick, I will say, I mentioned I just formed a tech. I think I have one skill as well. I have 2 of several classes. And so I'm actually pretty well positioned if I do roll around to a rank 4, but I don't see that happening for me for a while, even after finishing the Karina's challenges, and even with this daily card. It's just not going to happen, so I'm not too fussed about setting that up yet. There are a number of ranks that I would like to do. I do have a duped ghost, but I'd kind of like to hold on to that in case I get one of these new techs. Let's see. I just have a bunch. I recently duped my Captain America. He could go up. Right here, this Nexus was interesting because I have a rank 2 Massacre there. And I'm a big fan of his, and I actually think his dupe helps him quite a bit, because it basically means that if you're having trouble hitting into the opponent's block, you're more likely to ramp yourself up by landing more crits. And obviously landing more crits also just means more damage. So that was kind of nice. I had also said that if in this upcoming feature opening, where I'm going to open 5 feature crystals, if I do not pull Jabari or Shang-Chi, who I've been pulling for this entire time, then I think I'm just going to stop waiting and go ahead and take Massacre to rank 3. I love using him. He pairs very well with Mr. Fantastic for boosting my Cosmic Champions, and he pairs really well with Venompool, who I just took to rank 2 because I really enjoy his buff. So I think I will do that if this doesn't go well, right? So I'm opening 5 of these. I already mentioned Jabari and Shang-Chi. I'm also looking for a negative dupe. I'm looking for a Mojo dupe. Wouldn't mind Sigs on Captain Marvel movie, or a couple others. I was not looking for Mangog. I mean, he does pair decently with Odin, and I do have a duped 6-star Crossbones. So he's not the worst pull in the world, but I can't rank him for defense because my buddy Strands is already placing his rank 3. Civil Warrior dupe was not something I cared about, I'll just be honest. I do not like his buff. I think that it is finicky, requires way too much maintenance for too little and too one-dimensional of a payoff. Like, yay, damage. Not much more. So I did mention I was looking for Sigs on CMM, so that's nice. Now that I have Surfer, she's not going to be a priority, especially as I still don't have a 6-star Nick, even though I finally have the 5-star. But, she's a great champion, so that's... And she... Hopefully she'll be back up at rank 5 in Prestige, so that's not a bad pull. Double Mr. Fantastic there, that would have taken him to Sig 200. Instead, we get Vulture. Again, up to Sig 80. I hate Vulture. He strikes me as one of those champions who could really use a synergy with like Hercules to get Infuriate, because if he had access to the Infuriate debuff, he'd be really solid. But as it stands, I feel like he's only sustainable if you use Tigra. And then you have to intercept all the time, or you have to be able to parry reliably. And it just doesn't feel worth it, because his power control is still not absolute. And I'd rather use somebody like Dr. Octopus, or Magic, or Reed. Yeah, I don't think I'll be ranking Vulture. But then you saw that last one there. I would say I popped, but actually the reason I waited until later at night to open these is that I've been having my girlfriend open most of my crystals lately. She kind of enjoys it and kind of removes me from it so the bad pulls don't hurt as much. But you saw she went ahead and popped that last one, and I duped Mangog. So, I don't know. I'll probably level him up. I don't know if I'll take him to rank 2. I want to like him, but I haven't messed around with him much, and I know that the consensus on him is that he's kind of underwhelming. But one thing you did see, no Jabari, no Shang-Chi. Sounds like Masakre is going to rank 3. And I don't regret that, really, because I couldn't justify taking him up over having either of those two, but he is so much fun to play. And I already have Killmonger, I already have Kingpin. I feel like I've got the skill side of things kind of set, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'll probably do some gameplay videos of just how much incinerate damage he can do. He's not the most complex champion in the world, but he's just fun, man. You gotta have a few of those kinds of champions on your roster. Anyway, to say it again, I do think that overall Summer of Pain was definitely a success. I think that Kabam has actually been doing a very good job with content lately. You can say what you will about anything else, but I think the content has been well designed and engaging. And I'm looking forward to the next variant and then to the next chapter of Act 7. We'll see what that brings. I will have a war fight out tomorrow. It's a good one. I've been behind a little bit doing some of these other things, but I was finally able to bring a champion who I had recently taken to rank 3 and had not been able to get off the bench yet, and they really overperformed my expectations. So look out for that, and I will catch y'all later. Take care.